Hello, everyone. My name is Paul. I am the founder of Woke News Report podcast, wokenewsreport.com, and also the creator of Woke Board Game, which you can find more information about at wokeboardgame.com. Today, it seems we have a new politician on our hands that may announce a run sometime soon based on what I'm reading here. This is a person that I still consider a child in many ways. And the reason I think that is because she's the daughter of Bill and Hillary. And as I recall her or remember her, she was the child in the White House. She grew up in the White House while Bill was president. She's been in politics in a sense her entire life, but she's not been the public figure of the political world. But here we go. She's really beginning to get political in the sense that she's starting to share her own ideas. And as you can imagine, her ideas are very woke. They're very woke. Now, as I always say during every show, what is woke? Woke is the top-down system that people in power use in order to depopulate the earth. Depopulation is all that woke is about. And so when I'm going to show you these articles that I've been reading and finding on her just here recently, this is just recent stuff. It kind of shows that she might be thinking about running the country one day or being political. Now, I can't see her going into Congress and I can't see her going into the Senate, but I can certainly see her try to leapfrog and be where her mother wanted to be, which is President of the United States. So let's just go ahead and get into it. So Chelsea Clinton promotes the Big Catch-Up Initiative. We need to stop stripping away public health emergency powers to vaccinate, quote unquote, as many kids as possible. Now, this is pretty scary stuff because children obviously need some vaccinations, but what do you think she's talking about? She's talking about the allegedly Fauci-founded gain of function coming from a lab, Wuhan, COVID. So let's get into it. Millions of Americans were killed with remdesivir and ventilators when admitted to the hospital after tested positive for COVID. Well, one thing about this ventilator thing that you have to understand, and you can search it and read it yourself. If you ended up in the hospital with COVID and they placed you on a ventilator, you had up to a 90% chance of dying on that ventilator. The normal ventilator death rate, let's say, was 20%, is what I've read. And if it was on COVID and they stuck a ventilator in you, you died at about 90%. You had about a 10% chance of living if they did that to you in COVID. Now, they wouldn't let you take ivermectin, and you couldn't even talk about ivermectin, and probably ivermectin would have saved 90% of the people that died while on a ventilator. How will we know? We will never know. But that gain of function thing that happened, it was all planned. That's my feeling on it anyway. I don't know how you feel about it, but it was pretty much all planned. It's a depopulation plan. It worked very, very well. And now Chelsea Clinton is coming out and saying we needed to vaccine the kids. Now, this next section, according to the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention's Vaccine Adverse Effect Events Report, 35,274 Americans died after receiving a safe and effective COVID shot. So not only did COVID take hundreds of thousands of people, and you had a better chance of dying from a ventilator in a hospital than taking remdesivir, than taking something like ivermectin, which clearly is proven to have worked easily, by the way. At least 35,274 Americans died after receiving a safe and effective COVID shot. 65,670 are permanently disabled from the jab. 64,988 expecting mothers had miscarriages. Now, this one right here really gets to me because I've written about this on the Woke News Report Substack. So it's wokenewsreport.com or .substack.com. We don't yet know the full extent to what these vaccines are doing to mothers and babies in the womb. We have no idea. We're not going to know for years, really, what is going to happen if a mother or expecting mother gets the vaccine. What happens to that baby? I suspect birth rates are going to drop. They have to drop. 64,988. So you're basically 12 people away from 65,000 expected mothers had a miscarriage after taking the jab. And that's from the U.S. Center of Disease Control. That's, you know, a Gateway pundit isn't making this up. They actually have this statistically. 19,446 suffered from heart attacks. 26,897 fell ill with myocarditis and pericarditis. And these figures are underreported. And that's really the big thing about it. It really is. My own mother, she's older. She was 76, I think. She took the first jab, got a brain bleed. She took a second, third. You know, the follow-on. They're telling her to do this stuff, and she does. And she's one of the faithful people that listens to the government. And, you know, by the time it was over, she had 4 brain bleeds. She had a heart attack while at the hospital. She damaged her heart so bad that she couldn't have a brain surgery. She couldn't have brain surgery because she damaged her heart. It was a real mess for a really long time. Up until the point that she took the jab, she was fine. We went bowling. We enjoyed ourselves. You know, she took the jab. Bada bing, bada boom. There's a longer story to that, but yeah, I mean, it's not that she was healthy enough to even take the jab, in a sense, but she does push mow the yard with a lawnmower, and she does get out there and weed eat, and she enjoys it and loves it. Takes the jab. There you go. So Pfizer admits the shots do not prevent the transmission of COVID. Now, I'm going to stop right here just for a second because let's go up here to measles. So the measles here, this is the people also ask questions. Is measles vaccine for life? People who receive MMR vaccination according to the U.S. vaccination schedule are usually considered protection for life against measles. What about polio? Polio, are you still protected if you had polio vaccine in the 1950s? Evers, whoever that is, said, because I didn't click this link, it's the WCNC. The past vaccine remains effective at preventing the spread of polio. Yes, it is, Evers said. That was in 2022. So what this person is saying is, are you protected if you had a vaccine all the way back in 1950? Well, that's what vaccines used to be, right? A vaccine used to be able to protect. Not so much. Pfizer admits the shots do not prevent the transmission of COVID. The shot is supposed to make you feel better if you get COVID. You're still going to get it. Let's go on with Chelsea. Promoting the big catch-up at Fortune's Brainstorm Health Conference in Marina Del Rey, California, Chelsea Clinton warned the rise in vaccine hesitancy and growing rejection of vaccines unfortunate. You keep scrolling down, and the world is less prepared for the next pandemic than it was before COVID, Clinton argued. I think we're less prepared today than we were arguably in January 2020, partially because the lack of trust and confidence is not only in our scientists, but in science itself. Now, I'm going to stop the sentence right there. I know she goes on. And certainly in public health professionals. But let's stop right there with not only our scientists, but in science itself. Science proved during COVID that if you have a glass or some type of partition between you and the next person, air stopped. Air stopped moving. Air does not circulate around partitions. Plexiglass, it doesn't matter what you could be in the bank. Bank's big, it's open, you walk in, air is circulating around everywhere. You cannot stop the air from circulation. But if you put a partition between you and one other person of plexiglass, air stops immediately. It stops. It's unbelievable what science proved. Science proved through physics and everything. You're safer with a glass partition. And mask. You got to wear that cloth mask like Alyssa Milano that's hand knitted by Granny. Because that too stops air. It's unbelievable what science proved. I think we're less prepared today than we were, arguably, in January 2020, partially because the lack of trust and confidence in not only our scientists, but in science itself. Now, I wonder why. Because they sold this bag of bull that air, the physics of air, stops at the water's edge. It literally stops immediately after seeing plexiglass. It gets to the plexiglass between you and the bank teller and goes, oh, I got to stop. I can't pass this. I can't go over it. I can't go under it. I can't go around it. I have to stop circulating. That's science. And that's what they were telling you. Plexiglass at the supermarket would protect you and the person at the supermarket. A cloth mask that Granny made out of whatever, it's basically a knitted mask, would help protect you against an airborne virus? That's science? We all deserve to hopefully not be as underprepared or unprepared as I worry we are at the moment. She urged, this is Clinton again, she urged the public sector to stop doing things like stripping away public health emergency powers from state public health agencies. So the statist wants a state reply. You know, that sounds like possibly a run for president. There are people right now that are watching this that may not be watching this. Smart people watch this show. Those people probably won't watch this show. But if she ran for president, there's already people that would vote for her because she believed in the science that air could stop and a mask would work and the vaccines don't kill. We all know, common sense says, air keeps circulating, masks don't work, the vaccine definitely kills people. In 2021 alone, more than 25 million kids under the age of 1 missed at least one routine immunization. No one should die of polio or the measles or what would be pneumonia, particularly in this country where we so need people to vaccinate our kids. Okay, well, I showed you just a moment ago, if you've got a polio vaccine in the 50s, you're still good today. Same with the measles vaccine. If you get a measles vaccine, it lasts a really long time. Pneumonia, look it up. It says the same thing. You get pneumonia 20, the vaccine, and you're pretty much good. You can get a 13 dose and a 20, I think is what they said, and bada bing, bada boom. But no, we got to take a vaccine and then a booster, and every 3 months another booster, because this thing wears itself out. It's not really a vaccine. It's not a vaccine. Polio vaccine, get it in the 50s, you're still good. This thing that they're pushing down kids and everything, it's not. So it's kind of a mess, but that's one of the first things. And let me show you this polio thing one more time. I'll show you this one more time just so you see it. Ever said that the past vaccine remains effective at preventing the spread of polio? Yes, it is. The question was, are you still protected if you had polio vaccine in the 1950s? Okay. You got a polio vaccine 70 years ago and you're okay. But you get a COVID vaccine and you got to get a new booster every 3 months against this stuff. And this person, Chelsea, she wants to make sure that your kids get vaccinated for this. It's insane. But, here's the second thing that she came out with. This one is just amazing. It's not shocking. It's just amazing. So this is why I say she's probably running for something before too long. She might get into the political realm before too long. Chelsea Clinton defends children's book depicting sexual abuse of a minor. Now, this is a Catholic vote, but it's also on other places. This just happens to be the best running one that I found. Chelsea Clinton, over the weekend, defended a list of books marketed towards minors, claiming that they are, quote-unquote, vital for children, and that, quote, attempted book bans against the LGBTQ content were harmful. Well, what kind of content are we talking about? So, you see her tweet here, 50% of the attempted book bans last year involved books with LGBTQ plus characters and themes. Books are a vital way that children, adolescents, adults learn about themselves and our world. What in the world could they learn from an LGBTQ book? Oh, Community Notes comes in and says genderqueer, which is essentially one of the bigger ones and is back there, almost on the bookshelf for her. The book showed in photo features sexually explicit material. The book contains visual depictions of oral sex, masturbation, and adult sexual contact with a minor. Now, what did we talk about on the Woke News Report Substack? The Woke News Report, Substack came out and pointed out that the UN has come out in favor of adult to child sexual content. There's a book out there in the libraries meant for 14-year-old kids and younger, really targeted the younger kids. But this is what it does. Genderqueer is one of the many books concerned parents have removed from Pride Month displays in library children's sections. Hide the Pride campaign. The book is about a 14-year-old's sexual activities. Includes explicit illustrations. That means like real-life drawings, I suppose, of the child engaging in sexual acts, and features a graphic scene in which the minor fantasizes about being molested by an adult man. Chelsea Clinton might be president one day. She might be running on this platform. The state should force your kid to get the vaccine that's not a vaccine that also could kill them. And we should have your kid read graphic scenes of a sexualized nature about being molested by adults because the UN just came out in support of it. It's a sick world, man. I'm telling you, it's a sick place. Chelsea Clinton is just a small part of it, but she's towing the line. She's doing what she's supposed to be doing. She's literally coming out for all of these things that matter to the woke and their agenda to depopulate. And, we've got the video. We got a couple of videos on LGBT and the population, how it has increased because of this kind of stuff here. And also how, as a correlation, the suicide rate between LGBT and Q have also increased. So watch out for Chelsea. She's on the warpath. She's speaking out now. She's talking about things that make her look like a politician, and you've got to be on the defense about that. I appreciate you tuning in. Like, share, comment. Be sure to subscribe either on YouTube or Rumble preferably. YouTube will block stuff like this left and right. They're not going to show this content to anyone, but Rumble will. So get yourself a Rumble account, subscribe there. It's appreciated. Thanks for tuning in.